I am a Christian.
I don't believe in Christianity. I cannot do this anymore.
I now have a new best friend. We're hanging out. We get to talk about everything. He's enjoyable to be around.
It was really nice to just have a friend, a new friend that I can kind of share things with and be personal. And
it was really nice to have someone there without any expectations. Someone who I didn't feel was judging me. Who took what I told him, the ugly, where I had been, what I was struggling with, and he didn't judge me. He just kind of, okay, that's you.
This girl doesn't have any interest in wanting a relationship, so I don't have to worry about leading her on. I can just be me. Jody and I had a couple weeks to hang out, and we hung out every day. Then she messages me and says, I gotta go away for 2 weeks.
My younger brother was getting married in California. Our family decided to make a big trip of it. We went to Vegas. We did a whole bunch of things. So I was gone for a couple weeks.
I knew that time was going to go by so quick. I mean, I was so busy at work. I was like, no problem. That's going to be no problem at all.
And while I was gone is when I realized I kind of miss him. I kind of miss Jamie. I thought maybe I was just getting used to having someone to talk to. I had a new buddy. I couldn't wait to talk to him.
We started the message a lot in that time frame, back and forth. How are you doing? Good night. And as we were going, she would tell me about her day, and she would message me, and I would tell her about my day. And I got to the point I started to miss this person that was messaging me, and I was craving our night drives, our coffee, our walk on the beach, just getting to know this person and talking. The messaging and the Facebook messages wasn't enough. I was craving more.
Each day I was away, I missed him a little bit more. And I started to wonder, do I maybe like this guy? Is it maybe more than friends? Because he's not Christian. I'm not looking for a boyfriend. This is not what I want. But I'm starting to have feelings. I kind of miss him. So when I got back from California, I had messaged him as soon as my plane landed. And I said, hey, we're in Toronto. I'll be home at probably 11:30. I'll see you tomorrow. And Jamie's response was, I'll see you soon.
I'll meet you at home.
I can see you tomorrow. No. I'll see you soon.
And I just rushed over to her house. I had a coffee for her and I drove to the lake. I missed this girl.
It was a little chilly. It definitely wasn't California weather anymore. When Jamie noticed it was a little cold, he took the opportunity to warm up my hand. That was the first time Jamie held my hand.
And it started to feel like a little bit more than a friendship. I remember telling Jody my idea of a perfect relationship was of my 2 cousins. They were like a powerhouse team. They ran a rib fest every year. And I was just so proud of my cousins to watch them orchestrate so many people that turned into this annual event that it was just so big and so massive that 2 people could orchestrate this entire event every year. And I told Jody, I said, that's the kind of relationship I want to have. I really admire that.
So here I go again. I'm falling for another non-Christian. Something you don't know about me. I was in denial about this almost for years. It was as a little girl. I felt God put it on my heart that my husband wouldn't be a Christian. He wouldn't be a Christian when I met him. That God would use me in his life to steer him towards God. So naturally, growing up being that teenager, these non-Christian boys, winking at me, and I thought, ooh, maybe he's the one I'm going to convert. Maybe he's the one I'm going to bring to church, and he's going to become a Christian. And I dated a bunch of non-Christians, and I took them all to church with me. I instead didn't make enough of an influence on them. They unfortunately influenced me, and I made mistakes.
Something that I heard on the radio recently was a depiction of a Christian trying to evangelize to a non-Christian in a non-Christian environment when someone who is Christian goes into the secular world. And it was by Chuck Swindoll. He said, think of it like a white glove going out into the backyard and gardening. When that white glove is used in the dirt, the glove gets dirty. The dirt does not get glovey.
So I didn't want to live like that anymore. I didn't want to make any more mistakes. I didn't want to keep giving love to people who didn't really love me, who said that to get something from me.
I've been through some pretty hard things in my life, and a lot of family members of mine had passed away. God was a part of my life, but not like a relationship. I had talked to him when my grandfather had passed away. I had talked to him when my grandmother had passed away. I had a conversational relationship at that time in my life with God as the big guy in the sky. And something about Jody said run. She was sharing all of these stories with me, and something that I find people go through in life in their early 20s is something I call a quarter-life crisis. It's something that they've done in their life and their lifestyle and their outward appearance and their way of life and their friends, that in their early 20s they realize, this isn't for me. This isn't who I want to be as an adult. I don't want to live this way anymore. I had been through that. The relationship I had gotten out of before had also gone through the same thing. I'm getting to the point where I'm noticing a pattern with people that this quarter-life crisis is a real thing. Everything that Jody's telling me is she is on the other side of this quarter-life crisis. She does not know who she is on the other side of this. And although this is a good thing for me and a little check mark in my box, she is still putting those pieces of herself back together. I do not want to be part of the building process. I had had a year-long relationship and 4 years long relationship before this and gone through all of these steps. And she's just starting this. And she's younger than me. She's an amazing person. She's got a lovely life. She's got her issues, but she recognizes them. She recognizes the issues and the faults in her life. I just don't want to deal with it. I'm too busy. And everything that I'm saying, that little voice inside my head is saying, turn and run. You don't want to deal with this.
The Bible says, do not be unequally yoked. That is a very, very important thing. It is not to be taken lightly.
I couldn't ignore the fact that I wanted this woman in my life more. She had all the right traits. I think I'm going to give this a shot, and despite my instinct of wanting to run, I really like hanging out with this girl, and I like hanging out with her every night. Every day I like seeing her. I like talking to her every day. So I decided to put a term on it. I want to court this girl.
Dating in this generation, when you say that, there's a little bit of expectations, there's a little bit of assumptions that come along with that.
I don't want to use the term dating because it implies a whole bunch of other things in our society that we're doing in our relationship.
We didn't want people assuming or presuming that we were having sex, because we weren't. We were not having sex, so we were very careful about the word we used when we started seeing each other.
I am getting to know this girl better and saying, yes, I am interested in you. And I want to move towards a relationship. But in time.
Jamie was courting me. And when Jamie and I were courting, he put a lot of effort into his first dinner for me. As well, he pulled out his guitar and he actually serenaded me on our first courting hangout at his place when I met his mom. The song he sang me was by a band called Icarus Account, and the song was called My Favorite Girl. Being his favorite girl and about how he's gonna marry me, I took it to heart a little bit. I definitely was impressed that day. It was really sweet. But again, he told me, listen, I know I said I didn't want a girlfriend. I know you don't want a boyfriend. I know we can't help the way we're feeling about each other right now. But I still need to really focus on my career. So we might be seeing each other now and courting, but don't expect too much because I need to focus on my job. And I remember this giant mirror in his condo hallway, and I looked at myself and I thought, challenge accepted. You don't want a wife? Okay, let's see. Let's see if I can change your mind.
Something Jody and I was not at that time was equally yoked. I had different theologies and ideas on what God was, and I can tell you they were along the Catholic side of thinking.
There was drama because we were not equally yoked. There was drama because I'm a Christian. I'm going to church now. I'm not going to make the same mistakes I made last time.
We debated night in and night out, and Jody got very angry. Jody was very upset with some of my standpoints.
I will not compromise my faith. I will not put God on the back burner as number 2 and my desires and my comfort number 1. That's not an option. God was never out of my life, but he was, for a time, he was not my focus. He was not my everything. And that was a problem. That was where I was making bad decisions. That's where I was being persuaded. That's where I was slipping up. So I thought, I'm not making that mistake again. So you want to date me? Guess what? You're going to come to church with me.
I couldn't do that because I felt like I was doing God a disservice. Who am I to go to church for somebody else? That's not why you go to church. You don't go to church because my girlfriend wants me to go to church.
He says no. He's not coming to church with me. He is the first boyfriend I have ever dated who wasn't a Christian who wouldn't go to church with me. Are you kidding me?
I felt if God knew that in my heart that I was doing that for her, that's a disservice to God. Why would I even step foot in a church if that is not my intention to want to be there? That's deceitful in my eyes. I don't want to do that. So my answer is no. No, I'm not going to go to church. If you want to go to church, you go to church. I've got friends that go to your church. Go with them. But I'm not going.
I could not. I started in some ways checking out because I couldn't see a future. I told him, I will not marry you if you're not Christian. Because how could we possibly raise children? How could we possibly make massive life decisions if we do not even agree on the most fundamental point of life? How can that possibly ever work? And he fought me on it. Like there were things he agreed. Yes, I agree. There is a God. I'm a nice guy. That's enough. But it wasn't enough for me. I needed his heart to belong to God because we were missing out on the most intimate part of the relationship. And that is when Jesus is involved, because when the Holy Spirit is involved, it is a next level relationship. Imagine it like a frequency. You are finally on the same frequency. You are picking up the same vibes. You are getting the same warnings. You are headed in the same direction. And that is so important. But that's not what we had. We had constant fights. I still had issues from my previous relationships. I had trust issues. Are you cheating on me? Who are you talking to? I don't like that your friends are women.
Something Jody really struggled with was the fact that I have a relationship with girls. I was raised by women. My mom was a single parent. My whole upbringing was around females. So I would gravitate towards females, and I have a lot of female friends. Most of my friends are female. At a party, I found that I would lean towards more female talk than guy talk. So Jody gets upset with me having girlfriends. She's constantly checking in on me, wants updates. What are you doing after work? Why aren't you coming to see me? That was a lot. That was a lot to deal with.
I grew up with a tomboy mom, 2 brothers and a father. We traveled a lot. They were my main companionship, and it was a little masculine. So naturally, I got along well with guys. What a surprise, I picked go-karting and only guys show up. I should have known, right? But back then I didn't realize that there were many guys who were in the same boat, but reverse. He was the first man in my life that had more friends that were girls than I did. I didn't know how to feel about that. I didn't know, well, what are their true motives? Because if history told me anything from my past relationships, was the girls who were friends with my boyfriends usually wanted something more. And most of the time when I had a feeling, I was right. I was on guard. I wasn't sure how to feel about Jamie being surrounded by women. Maybe a little jealous Jody came out. Maybe. And it started to bother Jamie. I really started to rub him the wrong way.
Jody almost felt like it was a personal attack, and this was some of our fights. She would get upset when I would put focus on my friends. I knew that even though I was courting this girl, I still had to maintain my friendships. I still had to maintain my professional relationships within the business I was in.
In my previous relationship, I had a very needy boyfriend. He needed to know where I was at all times. He needed to know who I was talking to. He needed to know about my text messages. Growing up, I kind of was in a similar environment. Who are you talking to? Where are you going? There was always someone I had to answer to. So unfortunately, that taught me bad habits. And when Jamie and I started dating, I started doing that to him. I started asking him, what are you doing after work? Are you coming to see me? Well, who are you talking to now? I can't believe that you've been at work all day and you'd rather go home and see one of your friends, or you want to go grab beers with your coworkers. Like, I've been waiting all day to see you. You'd rather see somebody else? I started taking it personal that he had a life. He had a life outside of our relationship. I was jealous of that because, again, I said I wanted to focus on Jesus. Well, no, now I'm focusing on Jamie.
It became apparent that Jody needs to learn who Jody is. And I had to show her some tough love. If I stopped communicating with Jody, Jody would have no choice but to reconnect with her friends from church and start doing things for Jody. Now, I started to do this discreetly by blowing her off and maybe not answering her text messages right away. Jody caught on to that really quick. And it started to hurt her. So I had to communicate to Jody that she needed to go out and find some friends and reconnect with the friends from church and start to have things in Jody's life that Jody wanted to do outside of the relationship.
Did he just say that to me? I was so hurt. What do you mean get my own life? You are my life.
Go do something fun and exciting, but leave me out.
That hurt so bad. Because I felt neglected, I felt pushed away, I felt abandoned, and it hurt.
You can't love somebody else until you love yourself. Jody did not love who she was. Jody was still figuring out who Jody was in her adult life. And if Jody didn't know who she was, or she defined herself with this relationship, she would then learn in time to resent this relationship because it would have been time lost. I imagined to myself that it would be years down the road and she goes, well, I never had time to do this because I was so focused on us. I never had time to do what I wanted to do because I was focused on you. And I didn't want that. I wanted Jody to have her own things and Jody to be her own person. And everything that she had told me about herself was amazing. But I needed her to find that again. And that wasn't going to be with me. I did not want the new Jody to be some form of Jamie symbiote. some form of Jamie Klingon that was this new woman because of our relationship.
He wasn't trying to hurt me. He wasn't doing me a disservice. He was loving me. Tough love. It was tough love, but I needed it. I needed to find something else. I could not rely and I could not put my happiness in his hands. That's too much weight for anybody to carry, and it's not fair. It was not fair to him. So he pushed me away and I had to find something else to do. And after a while, I got used to it. You know what? We're not hanging out today? Sure, cool. Guess what? I'm busy now.
It was something that was really important to Jodi's development in her adult life, that she needed to know who she was. How could I depict to this woman that in order to be in this relationship, we need to see less of each other? This brought us to our first breakup, come Valentine's Day.
This isn't working. You know what? Our friendship was awesome. We thought we caught the feelings, but maybe we didn't. Maybe it's only meant to be friends. So we decided to break up on February 13th. We said, you know what? It's been nice. See you later. We're just buddies. And it was a mutual agreement. There was no hard feelings. It was okay. It's not working. We're not going to force it anymore. February 14th. I wake up to my doorbell ringing.
I wanted to show Jodi a good Valentine's because I had some plans and I'm like, you know what? I'm still going to follow through with these plans. So I'm going to wake up in the morning. I'm going to grab her a coffee, and they had heart-shaped donuts. I was all over that. I'm like, get me one of those. She's going to love that.
Scared the life out of me too. I come running down the stairs. There's Jamie standing at the door with a extra large coffee and a heart-shaped donut. And I said, what are you doing here? We broke up yesterday.
I just wanted to drop these off. I want you to have a good day. Here's a little treat. I'm off to work.
I thought, oh, that's so sweet. He's a nice guy. That's nice. And then later in the afternoon, he calls me.
I decided halfway through the day that I was going to surprise Jodi on Valentine's. I'd already dropped off stuff for her in the morning, but I saw something at the grocery store. Jodi likes Eiffel Towers, and they had a flower display. There was a 3-foot tall Eiffel Tower with sparkly glitter, pretty, feminine. It was huge.
So I think to myself, yeah, we are still friends. It was a mutual breakup, but the constant nagging on my heart about him not being a Christian. And I prayed relentlessly. I said, God, I know and I feel as a child you told me my husband wouldn't be Christian when we met, but he's the most stubborn man that I've dated yet. He's the only one who's not giving me an inch. Did I fabricate this? Did I imagine this promise from God? Because so far it's led me to nothing but problems. But understand, I'm not saying that God's promise to me led me to the problems. I made the assumptions that this is who God's talking about. This is who God's talking about. Well, if God said, then it must be this way. Well, no, I still wasn't lining it up to the Bible, was my mistake. I still let them influence me more than I influenced them.
So I get her a balloon. I get her roses. I don't want normal roses. I want blue roses. And I just thought they looked so cool. They had white roses. They had red roses. Wow, I'm getting those. And this 3-foot Eiffel Tower. And I go over to her house. Thankfully, Jodi doesn't answer the door. Jodi's probably upstairs contemplating life and just going through a very hard time.
And the doorbell rang and I was thumping around the house and ruckus, and I was told not to come downstairs. And I thought, what on earth is going on now? So I come downstairs, and in my kitchen, this 3-foot tall Eiffel Tower on my kitchen counter. I love Paris. I love the Eiffel Tower. I have been. It's beautiful. It is stunning. And I have a thing for Paris. So Jamie bought me this massive Eiffel Tower and blue roses, which were also my favorite. He had no idea. And there was a balloon with love on it. And I just, part of my heart just melted all over again. And I thought, well, James, what are you doing?
Maybe I was hasty on my decision yesterday. Maybe I'm not ready to give up on us, and maybe I want to keep going, and maybe I'm not finished because I'm I'm starting to think that this relationship is worth trying again.
He couldn't imagine actually living without me. So guess what? We're back together. Woo! We're back together, yay. You know, for a couple months. And then we're fighting again because again, he's not coming to church. And you know what? Now it's been a little bit of time, and now this is where most relationships do tend to get intimate.
It's not allowed to progress further intimately than Jody is letting happen. This is very frustrating for me. This girl is definitely committed to this relationship. Jody is putting roadblocks to the next step of our relationship. How can our relationship progress without intimacy? How can this relationship continue to the step that she wants to go to if we can't even be intimate with each other? So that's the part of some of our new fights.
That caused even more problems. The fights increased again. Maybe we were starting to do things intentionally to hurt each other.
If there's going to be no intimacy, well, guess what? There's going to be no relationship.
Jamie took me out one day. We went for dinner. We took a walk. He took me to some park I hadn't been to.
I have an idea. The relationship's done, but I'm going to give this one last hurrah. I'm going to take her out. I'm going to give her a really nice day. Picture perfect ending to a frustrating relationship, and then I'm just gonna get back to my life.
We were going through the forest and taking pictures and climbing fallen logs and just having a great day. When he was dropping me off at home, we pulled up and he said, "Jody, how was your day?" I'm like, "Oh, James, it was so much fun. We did this, we did that. It was a great day." And he said, "Jody, I'm so glad to hear you enjoyed your day, because that's it." What? What's it? I'm breaking up with you again. So you took me out on a really nice day. We took pictures. We had fun. We made memories. You intended this entire time to break my heart at the end of the day? What is wrong with you?
Well, that didn't go as planned. That blew up in my face hard. Don't do that. That was very effective to what I wanted to do, but not in the way I wanted.
That hurt my trust so bad. Because I felt lied to the entire day. I felt like a puppet that was manipulated. I felt like a fool that I was falling in love with this man as he was planning his great escape. And he broke up with me again.
I did not hear from Jody from that point. Jody stopped texting me. Jody stopped answering my calls. But I still noticed that Jody was going to church.
I was getting to the point where my heart couldn't take it anymore. So when that happened, when it felt final, when I cried my heart out to my friends at church and I seeked companionship in them, they were great. Oh man, that group of friends, they were great. They were there for me. They were entertaining me. So naturally, when the guys at the church heard I was no longer seeing someone, a couple of them tried to take advantage of that situation.
I still saw Jody was kind of going out and doing things, which that I was happy with. But I was coming down because my relationship was ended as well. You remember my friends from church, the ones that I really admire and respect. They're a whole clique. That's how I met Jody in the first place. And when word got out within the church that we had really, for real, broken up this time, no one checked in on me.
I had a bunch of suitors come out of the woodworks who were my friends before.
Do I really give off the impression that I'm that okay that just nobody checks in? They seem to be okay because they are given 100% to my ex.
These guys are actually going to church. These guys actually say they love Jesus. Maybe I should be dating one of them.
And I started to notice some of my male friends from within the church started to do a little more than console. They started to try and step in, take some opportunity that was now presented with this open space within Jody's life, and still not even checking with me. Oh, that hurt. if I couldn't be put off worse from church to watch the people that I thought were these good people do this to a friend, to take advantage of a girl that was in a low headspace, that hurt my feelings almost more than the breakup. The worst part about this, Jody and I were in a relationship for about a year. These are friends of mine, 4, 5, and 6 years in length, that they chose the girl over their friend. I'm going to change a popular saying. This was Joe before bros. And that hurt.
I was not expecting to see somebody there with him.
We were on a break.